through deep. Grab my own bicep and squeeze. So we talked about yesterday, a true blood choke isn't necessarily all that uncomfortable until you're going unconscious. And that's not even uncomfortable, it's quite relaxing actually. But you're getting on the carotids, you're in these valleys between the trachea and the sternocleidomastoid muscles with some form of object, and you're occluding that circulation to the brain, and that's what's putting them to sleep in a matter of seconds. So if you remember back, we'll do a little bit of a recap, but the recap is that we're driving in to get this underhook, right? And start to use our head to put pressure here under the chin of our opponent, getting them to stop thinking so much about holding us in half guard. That was kind of the context by which I was training Tuesday's classes. How can we use efficiency, leverage, pressure, pain to get this person's mind busy, to get them thinking about, this really stinks, having this guy's skull under my chin. If this person has really got their game on and they're playing a tight game and they want that underhook. Yep, pummels in, gets the underhook. I'm still here controlling this, but I've lost this underhook, which means they have an avenue out. The way that the top individual combats that most of the time is by whizzering the top arm, the underhook arm, locking that shoulder in and keeping them from escaping. This is going to be the setup of our Darce choke though. The more he's trying to grab my lat, the better this is gonna work. So here's the setup. Notice how narrow my base is at the moment? This is getting me set up for a sweep. All he has to do is grab my leg and push, and he's got me down. Not good for me. So first step first is we're gonna widen our base. Knee goes out. Whizzer the underhook, and if he's committed to holding my lat and controlling, this is good for me. Because I'm gonna drive my fist to the ground like I'm posting, and then I'm gonna start putting a little bit of pressure on his elbow. Now, it isn't going to, 99.9% of the time, submit him. Okay? It's just putting pressure and probably makes him wanna lose that tight of an underhook. So he'll take it off my back and drive it down. That's when I sneak in. That's when I drive my arm through and I grab behind the neck here, holding him in place. Now from here, he's kind of loosened up his grip on the legs. I'm gonna put my knee through, shove it through deep, grab my own bicep, and squeeze for the finish. Probably could do that too with being still in his half guard, because it's hooking this and we're curling him in. And so there is really no need to completely escape. I just like being free. Because then if I have to roll, you can do a death roll with this too and still finish the Darce from your backside, as long as it's hooked up and you're getting this shoulder connected to their neck with my bicep on the other side of their carotid. We talked about this quite in detail yesterday in advanced class. The details of what makes a good blood choke is not the pressure on the sternocleidomastoid muscles, the neck muscles. It's not from the neck crank feeling that you're getting, although those things can make people tap, but it's pain driven. It's not blood choke driven. So we talked about yesterday, a true blood choke isn't necessarily all that uncomfortable until you're going unconscious. And that's not even uncomfortable, it's quite relaxing actually. But you're getting on the carotids, you're in these valleys between the trachea and the sternocleidomastoid muscles with some form of object, and you're occluding that circulation to the brain, and that's what's putting them to sleep in a matter of seconds. That's what our goal is here too. And this can become quite manhandling. In fact, there can be somewhat of a neck crank applied with the Darce, depending on how brutal we are on the crunch. But the Darce choke in its truest form is actually a blood choke. And that blood choke, again, just to kind of demonstrate here, is me coming in deep so that my bicep, can you see this just by raising Tom's head? Can you see where my bicep is at? Grabbing my own bicep My palm of my other hand is basically in the middle of his back, and I crunch and squeeze to finish. Be real careful, put it on slowly in case we are in a bad position and it's beginning to crank the neck. It's gonna be really uncomfortable. So finish it slowly. You gotta kind of adjust. We're good?